2 days ago, Republicans in Pennsylvania scored a major legal victory when a judge ordered the certification process of Pennsylvania to be halted and said, in an opinion, it is very likely the Republicans will win on the merits if the case is actually tried. The case is about Act 77 in Pennsylvania, which expanded absentee voting to no excuse mail voting. According to the lawsuit, and apparently the judge, it does violate the Constitution. To put it simply, the Republicans who passed this law, the state legislature in Pennsylvania, knew they needed a constitutional amendment in Pennsylvania in order to pass this law. The Pennsylvania Constitution lays out exactly how voting by mail or absentee voting is supposed to work. They started the process to amend the Constitution and then abandoned it. And the reason, in my opinion, because according to the Constitution, in order to change the rules, it has to actually go on the ballot, which means there wouldn't have been mail-in voting. It would have been an amendment proposal on the November 3rd ballot. Well, it was all very, very good news for the Republicans, but something that is not too unexpected occurred. The Supreme Court in Pennsylvania just shot it down, dismissing it on the narrowest of grounds, arguing, y'all were too late. That's it. You just didn't file soon enough. And I said this was going to happen. If you've been following my content, I mentioned it. There's something called latches. I'm not a lawyer or a legal expert. I just read this in The Atlantic. They said that in court, you have to file within a reasonable amount of time. And if you wait too long for many of these lawsuits, the courts are going to say you should have sued on mail-in voting before it happened. Here's the issue, though. Other lawyers are arguing that the Republicans who filed the lawsuit didn't even have standing until after the election anyway, because there was no injury. Thus, the courts would have said, nothing's happened. We can't do anything for you. In fact, we saw something similar to that. When the Supreme Court was deadlocked 4-4, they basically said, when it comes to ballots that come in after the deadline, we're going to reserve judgment, I guess, kick it back to the lower court because nothing's happened yet. So this is bad news for Republicans, but it's not unexpected. I mean, they all thought it was going to happen. I'm fairly sure it's Sean Parnell and Mike Kelly. Sean Parnell, I'm pretty sure he said on my show, probably go to the Supreme Court. They'll probably kick it back and then we'll see what happens. Now, many believe that this is on its way to the Supreme Court. Some have said the Supreme Court won't rule on, internal state matters. Apparently, that's probably not true because this case will affect the outcome of the presidential election. So we'll see how it plays out. But the bigger picture here, let me tell you something. Based on the title of this video, Democrats cheering for violating the Constitution. Yeah. I wonder to myself, who's right, who's wrong, who's the good guys, who the bad guys all the time. Sometimes I wonder about what Trump is doing. Absolutely. I've never been an overt hardcore MAGA supporter. I just looked at what was happening with the economy and with the wars and all that stuff. And I was like, it's pretty good. It is. And school choice is pretty good. And the left is critical race theorist, moral authoritarian. So, okay, fine. I voted for Trump, right? But sometimes I wonder because I don't think everybody is pure goodness. Everybody thinks they're the good guys. But I'll tell you this. I got this tweet right here from Josh Shapiro. I can tell you who the bad guys are very, very easily. Josh Shapiro tweeted. Now, this is I believe he's the AG, Attorney General for Pennsylvania. He's the guy who tweeted that when all the votes are counted, Donald Trump will lose before the election, leaving a lot of people to wonder, what was that supposed to mean? And then sure enough, it happened. But here's what he tweeted. Breaking. We just notched another win for democracy. Oh, for democracy, huh? The PA Supreme Court has dismissed the suit that was attempting to throw out the votes of 2.5 million Pennsylvanians and halt certification. You want to know how I know that this guy is the bad guy? Because he just lied. Because he's lying to people. The suit did not seek to throw out the votes of 2.5 million Pennsylvanians. I had Sean Parnell, one of the plaintiffs in the case, on the IRL podcast, and I asked him, aren't you just trying, you're trying to throw out ballots? He said, no, not at all. It might happen if the judges rule that way. But he said, maybe it just means the next election will not use these procedures or they'll have to get their constitutional amendment. They asked the court to advise on potential relief because they didn't want to disenfranchise people. He said that everybody assumed the law was constitutional, and so did he. And they only just found out. Now the PA Supreme Court is saying you should have filed sooner. Well, If you didn't know, then what do you mean you file sooner? That's why the PA Supreme Court ruling is trash, in my opinion. But why would Josh Shapiro say they want to throw out votes and halt certification? Because he's trying to trick you into thinking the case was about getting Donald Trump a victory. Now, at some level, I'm sure it was. I'm sure there are people who are like, this could help Trump win. I'm sure there are some people who knew the law was unconstitutional and they waited. I don't trust politicians, man. I do trust Sean Parnell. Absolutely. When he says he just found out about this and he didn't realize the law was unconstitutional, I absolutely believe him. I really do. Because this dude's not a politician. This dude served in the military and that now he writes books and he was called upon to run in this district and he ran. And I trust him when he says, you know, he just found out about this. And also other lawyers saying he didn't have standing to sue until there was injury, until something happened in the election. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. But Mike Kelly actually won his election, which means if they did halt certification, whatever the judge determined, he would have been irreparably harmed. And the initial judge recognized this. They're lying to you. The Democrats are lying. And the Republicans in the state legislature are the ones who passed the unconstitutional law. And it was signed off by the Democrat governor. Why? They all hate Trump. They do. OK. And there are Republicans pretending to like him. But the elites of this country and the political establishment have always loved being the keys to the castle politicians. Let me in. I don't want to do any work. Trump comes along and they're like, ugh, now what do we do? Tons of Republicans retired. Tons of Republicans formed things like the Lincoln Project. And then many others just pretend to like Trump because they know that's what the voters want. Take, for instance, the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. Oh, no, not Kemp. I believe it's the AG or Secretary of State. I don't know. Brian Raffensperger. He's the guy who ran the elections. He's like, I've always been a big Trump supporter. Oh, no, what's happening? No, shut up. No, they weren't. These people just pretended it. They don't really care about Trump. They don't like Trump. Trump is not part of the political establishment. That's why the Trump supporters use the lion symbol and not the elephant. Well, here's the news. Let me break it down for you, and then I'll show you what Sean Parnell says. PA Supreme Court dismisses request from Mike Kelly and Sean Parnell to declare mail-in voting unconstitutional in state, deny results from 2020 election mail-in ballots. So this is incorrect. Based on what I've read from the suit and what they've said, they were asking the court to determine what remedy or relief is available to them to advise. They say the state Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, threw out the 3-day-old order, saying the underlying suit was filed months after the law allowed for challenges to Pennsylvania's expansive year-old mail-in voting law. The state's Attorney General, Democrat Josh Shapiro, called the court's decision another win for democracy. Whoa. Year-old mail-in voting? Why did the Republicans in Pennsylvania introduce no excuse mail-in voting before COVID? That doesn't seem to make any sense. Why would they change a fundamental aspect of their elections in violation of their own constitution, according to the judge in the initial case? Let me tell you, the PA Supreme Court just said it. They didn't rule on the merits. So as far as we know right now, the judge has said they will likely win on merits. Meaning, the Pennsylvania Constitution is clear as to what can be allowed for an absentee ballot. Why did they do this before COVID? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Although I'm sure many people have some pretty specific guesses as to why. It's funny. I have a lot of people commenting saying like, Tim, you'll say all of these weird things are happening, but then stop short of declaring what you think it is. And I'm like, yes, because it's for you to decide. When the media says there's no evidence, and I say, actually, here's the evidence. I'm not going to come out and tell you what the evidence points to because I can't connect those dots. And you're not going to get me to come out and say, this proves that they faked everything. No, I don't know. I just think it's weird, isn't it? That's it. What was their reason for expanding mail-in voting? I don't know. They say the state's Attorney General Josh Shapiro called the court's decision another win for democracy. A win for democracy that you change the Constitution without letting the people decide. That's not a win for democracy. These people are lying. This is creepy, dangerous stuff. I don't like Republicans either. I like Sean Parnell. He's a cool dude. He's clearly not one of these establishment politicians. I say The week-old lawsuit led by Rep. Kelly of Butler had challenged the state's mail-in voting law as unconstitutional. As a remedy, Kelly and other Republican plaintiffs had sought to either throw out the 2.5 million mail-in ballots submitted under the law, most of them by Democrats, or to wipe the election results and direct the state's Republican-controlled legislature to pick Pennsylvania's presidential electors. Perhaps in the hard filing, what I can say is that on my show, Sean Parnell said that wasn't what they were trying to do, and that they even asked for, like I mentioned, advice from the court as to what the relief could be, and suggested that maybe this time around everything stays, but next time around we do it differently, which would still be a problem in my opinion. I think they would have had to have thrown these things out. Commonwealth Court Judge Patricia McCullough, elected as a Republican in 2009, thanks for letting us know, had issued the order Wednesday to halt certification of any remaining contests, including apparently contests for Congress. A day earlier, Governor Tom Wolf, a Democrat, said he had certified Democrat Joe Biden as the winner of the presidential election in Pennsylvania. Biden beat President Donald Trump by more than 80,000 votes in Pennsylvania. This we know. Wolf has also appealed McCullough's decision to the state Supreme Court, saying there was no conceivable justification for it. Well, McCullough filed an opinion after the fact saying, no, here's the real reason they're likely going to win on the merits. And then the PA Supreme Court did not rule on the merits. They just said, no, you're too late. I call BS. I call absolute BS. How can you be too late if you didn't know it was unconstitutional? My understanding was that you have a certain amount of time to file suit upon being made aware of something. How unreasonable would it be if, like, someone, defamed you or whatever, and maybe this is the case, and you didn't know until the video they defamed you with went viral a year later. It's like, let's say I put out a video saying, so-and-so is a bad person for this reason. And then no one sees the video. A year later, it goes viral, so they sue me. Oh, nope, too late. Yeah, you should have sued me a long time ago. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't work that way. A judge is going to be like, nah, like nobody knew you did this. The video went viral, and now it's become an issue, and everyone's been made aware. So anyway, Sean Parnell says, it's not over. This was not unexpected. Stay tuned. And everybody believes we are headed to the Supreme Court, baby. Maybe. Some are arguing the Supreme Court's going to say this is a state constitutional matter and we have nothing to do with it. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters if the Supreme Court gets involved or not. Right now, it doesn't matter what the state Supreme Court said or what the federal Supreme Court will say. You know why? When it comes to the slate of electors, the federal government recognizes the state legislature and no one else. If the governor or the Secretary of State or the AG or whoever sends a slate of electors, I don't think the AG can. I think it's the governor or the Secretary of State. The federal government would just be like, nah, sorry. If the state legislature said these are our actual electors, the federal government, the Constitution of the United States recognizes the state legislature's appointees. So they could just do it. I mean, Fareed Zakaria said this. I'm not just making it up. It was in my segment yesterday on Fareed Zakaria of CNN did this whole thing in September about how Trump could lose and still win. And I've been talking about time and time again. If the Republicans just say it, then the results are disputed, period. Check this out. From the Washington Post. I love how the media lies to you. That's the name of the game. 20 days of fantasy and failure inside Trump's quest to overturn the election. My friends, let me tell you what's going on. Take a trip over to the Donald.win. And what will you find? Post after post after post that Donald Trump won the election, that Joe Biden cheated, that widespread voter fraud cost Trump the election, and that Trump will be victorious and is on path to victory. Much of this is hyperbole. We don't have evidence to suggest that, or I should say, we don't have evidence to prove that widespread voter fraud cost Trump the election and Joe Biden cheated. We do have evidence of widespread fraud, as from the Voter Integrity Fund. Yes, I'm saying it literally exists, okay? And he's in litigation now. These are thousands of individuals who used bunk addresses or changed their address, and then voted in the state by absentee anyway. That is evidence of widespread fraud, because I think it totals something like 20,000 votes. There's also widespread irregularity. These things all exist. Now, whether or not that means Trump won or Trump is going to win, the Donald.win people are going to tell you that because they're leading the charge to fight on behalf of Trump to get him his victory. And so they're, morale boosting. They want it. They believe it. They're not going to back down. Of course, they'll rag on me because I'm not on board with it. Sure, fine. On the left, they're saying, nope, it's all a fantasy. Trump's wrong. But let me tell you this. While the Trump supporters over at the Donald.win may be very overzealous and hyperbolic, they're not wrong in much of their facts. Donald Trump is on track for what Fareed Zakaria called Trump losing but staying in power. Being on track doesn't mean that Trump is guaranteed to win. It means that if he was going for a victory, he is on track to get there, but there are ridiculous obstacles in the way that make it, in my opinion, nigh impossible. One of them is that the Republicans in Pennsylvania have to come in tomorrow and appoint electors in defiance of their own state laws. Now, the federal government, like I mentioned, will recognize, my understanding, according to Fareed Zakaria, they'll recognize the state legislatures over anybody else. That means these people, these Republicans, would have to make that bold move. So far, there's 26 Republicans on board. They've got to get 100 or so to get the majority, and I just don't think it's likely. I really, really don't. But Trump is on track. Tomorrow's the next big hurdle. We'll see. However, over on the left, here's what you're going to get. Lies. 20 days of fantasy. The Washington Post basically says people, look, you know what I love? When they say things like this, a person familiar with their thinking. What? What is that supposed to mean? I'm familiar with Trump's thinking. He wants 2 scoops of ice cream. Remember that segment CNN ran? It was supposed to be kind of jokey. What does it mean to be familiar with someone's thinking? That's how you know you're reading garbage. Basically, the story outlines all of Trump's efforts to get Republicans to flip their electors to him. It might happen. We are months away. January 6th is when Congress holds a joint session to count the electoral votes, and disputes and challenges can arise. But the media is saying this stuff, probably in my opinion, to demoralize Trump supporters, convince them Trump can't possibly win, and then just lie about what's really going on. I think Trump can win. I think it is, like I said, nigh impossible. I'm probably going to be wrong again because I'm always wrong. I was like, Trump's going to win on election night, and then he loses, and I'm like, all right, well, there you go. No, to be fair, in the months leading up to the election, I said, in the months, Biden could win, man. He really could. What people needed to understand about Trump is that he narrowly won. It was 88, I believe it was like 80,000 votes across 3 states, got him narrow victories, giving him the Electoral College edge. He lost the popular vote. You add a whole bunch of Trump haters and constant media, insanity, and then Trump ends up losing re-election. That's actually what I've been saying. I told Trump supporters not to underestimate Joe Biden because you mock and you belittle him. And sure, I understand why, but Trump could still lose. We'll see how things play out. I believe Trump does have a chance to win. He really does. The left won't tell you that, though. They're going to lie to you. I bring you now. First of all, they say the Republicans met with Trump and then shot down any chance that they would overturn the results of the election or whatever. You don't know that. You don't know what they're going to do. They could absolutely appoint their own electors at the last minute and say, well, too bad. Check this out. At the very end, they talk about Pennsylvania. And they say Trump was demanding, that they do this. They were holding a hearing on voter fraud. They say that afternoon, Trump called into the meeting of GOP state senators at the Wyndham, where Giuliani and Ellis were addressing attendees. He spoke via a scratchy connection to Ellis's cell phone, which she played on speaker. At one point, the line beeped to signal another caller. Quote, "If you were a Republican poll watcher, you were treated like a dog," Trump complained, using one of his favorite put downs. Even though many people treat dogs well, like members of their own families. What is this Washington Post? What did I just read? Quote, "The election was lost by the Democrats," he said falsely. "They cheated." Trump demanded the state officials overturn the results, but the count had already been certified. Pennsylvania's 20 electoral votes will be awarded to Joe Biden. Wow, Washington Post. Wow. Oh, man, that's really, This article was published yesterday night at 7 p.m. And you want to know why this is a bald-faced lie? That's why I say these people are not good people. These journalists are lying to you. And Trump's been saying it over again with fake news. It is political propaganda. They're trying to convince you that Trump is lost. They're showing you a stolen photo of Trump. And it's bad news because Trump supporters don't read the Washington Post. Okay, normies do, I guess. And they're being convinced Trump lost. What's going to happen if Trump wins? My friends, I give you facts. Pennsylvania House of Representatives, House co-sponsorship memoranda. On November 27th at 12:50 p.m., a full day before they published that article, they say, "In the immediate future, we will be introducing the following resolution, which likely will come tomorrow. It might not, but for the time being, for you to assert Joe Biden will get these electoral votes. You are wrong. They say that as part of their resolution, they urge the U.S. Congress to declare the selection of electors in the Commonwealth to be in dispute. There is a serious chance that Joe Biden does not get Pennsylvania. That doesn't mean Trump wins. Trump needs to pull it off in 3 states. I'm not sure it's possible. I'm not sure. I think he has a chance to win. I do. But like I said, he's on a train track, right? And trees keep falling down and, tsunamis coming in. So, yeah, if the train keeps going straight and makes it past all these obstacles, Trump wins. But I just don't see it. I mean, and look, I get it. Trump supporters want to be hopeful. They refuse to give up. I respect it. But I'm going to give you my real thoughts on this. I'm not going to lie and just be like, Trump's going to win. I'm not going to do it. I won't. All right. But I'm not going to be like the mainstream media and lie to you. The House says they plan to put this resolution forward, calling for the election to be in dispute. If it is, then there will be rival electors or a challenge on January 6th. If Pennsylvania sends 20 electors, they count it for Biden. They vote on the 14th. Joe Biden wins. We then have to wait to January 6th, where one Republican could be like, I object. The state legislature, as recognized by the Constitution, disputes the electors sent forward. Therefore, we can't count this. And then you're going to hear rabble, rabble, rabble from everybody. It doesn't mean Trump wins, but it certainly means there's so much more to go through before this is actually over. The media just wants everyone to submit and give up. You know why? That's the only way. I should say that's the only guarantee they have of a clean victory. I mean, think about it. You can box someone or they can concede, which is easier. Right. You want your opponent to forfeit so you get a win by default. They know that there is a chance Trump could pull this off. So the best thing they can do is convince every Trump supporter it's over, give up, submit, you lose, because then there's no fight. But the door is still open, albeit it's closing, and Trump is on track to make it through that door, but many, many obstacles. And it's not just obstacles. Like if the Republicans get the majority of the state legislature in Pennsylvania to agree with this resolution, which is already a challenge, and then they file tomorrow and it works, that's like Trump's running, on this road and then he jumps like a 20-foot gorge. It is just a huge obstacle. If the news comes down, I mean, tomorrow really is going to be the big day. If this is their last chance, I believe, because they go out of session after tomorrow. If they don't get it done, that's it. Like tomorrow really is the final move. You know what? I'll put it this way. Maybe not, because maybe there's other states, I guess. I don't know, man. Trump's not going to stop. He ain't giving up. And it's absurd that, I don't know, the media lies the way they do. Look, I'll tell you this. I think it's 99.9% chance Joe Biden's going to win. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but Trump could pull it off. They said it was 99% chance Hillary Clinton won. Remember that? If I tell you there's a 99.9% chance Trump loses this fight, I just think back to 2016. And that's why there's something in my gut that says, nah. I don't know, though, man. Maybe it is wishful thinking, but we'll see. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.